Hey everyone, welcome back to CP Whiskey Creek in N-Scale. In this video, I'm going to lay out sort of what 2024 is going to look like, what I have in store for this year, and a little update about a couple things that have been going on over the last couple weeks. So to start things off with a little bit of sad news, unfortunately we had to say goodbye to one of the troublesome little bunnies from the layout. We unfortunately had to put down Nibs. He developed some kidney issues, and yeah, unfortunately there wasn't anything we could do for him, and he was in a lot of pain. So as much as I gave him a hard time for some of the trouble he caused in the layout, we as a family certainly miss him. Rest in peace, Nibbers. Shifting to some more positive news, I'm starting a new job in, well, middle of February, I guess. So that's going to involve some time away from the layout, focusing on training and getting up to speed on the requirements of the new job. But all in all, it's definitely a positive move in the right direction, at least for me. And the only other real thing train-wise that I've done this month so far is I went to the Woodstock train show. All in all, it was actually kind of disappointing. They did have a few running layouts, which was obviously great to see, and not to take away from any of those layouts, but it was definitely, I would say, probably half the size of what it normally is, and the attendance was certainly a lot lower. Weather wasn't helping the situation, but still, it wasn't a great overall show to attend, I guess, this time. So hopefully future ones will improve. Hopefully that's not an indication of the future of train shows in the area, because it's always nice to get out and see other train people. Now, what does 2024 have in store for me? Or more so, what do I have in store for 2024? One of the first projects that I've already actually started working on is helping both my dad and my son design their layouts. So my dad is working on a Louisville and Nashville based layout, and then my son is actually working on a TH&B and CN in the 1950s layout, kind of a switching layout. So I'm going to be helping them with the bench work and probably getting some of the track laid down and getting them going in the right direction. One of my other projects that I want to work on and try to actually finish is my Lake Erie Northern plans. So I want to finish the little locomotive, and then also start working on scratch building or kit bashing, one or the other, the Mount Pleasant station. So, and that's going to sort of turn into some type of diorama. So that's going to take up probably quite a bit of time. And then one of the other big projects that I want to work on is continuing some more layout expansion. So if you watched my last video, then you would have seen some of the expansion I did. It was only an 8-inch section, but it sort of ripped off the band-aid, doing something that I was kind of putting off for quite a while because I was unsure how it was going to turn out. And it's interesting because I had a conversation with someone recently about stress and how stress can be a good thing because it forces us to get outside of our comfort zones. And I kind of thought the idea of adding expansion and taking apart the layout to rebuild it was stressful. But in hindsight, it sort of, once I got it done, then I was able to look back on it and go, hey, that wasn't as bad. So one area I'm going to separate and expand is in between the station and the fuel area, adding in a residential area. And then I'm going to move on to the other side of the fuel area where it links up with the yard. And in that section, I'm going to add in a kind of a industry, but it's not going to be rail served. So one of the things I've also been reading some of the books by Lance Minheim, and it's all about creating negative space. So not everything has to have a train going to it. Some of it can just be scenery based. So the industry and maybe like a bridge over top, and it's probably going to have like a double switch so I can get trains over to the other track easily without having to do the whole loop. And then the final expansion, so it's going to be 3 sections of about 12 inches each. The other section is going to be on the other side of the yard, and that's going to be kind of just like a farm area. So again, it's just going to be scenery and trains will run past it, but nothing needs to stop there. So adding a little bit more for the trains to sort of stretch out, but also adding some more scenery to, make things look nice. And finally, for the layout, it's not really for the layout, but it's just to improve the layout in some aspects. And I plan to work on some other structures and buildings. I have some kits that I've been putting off, and I need to sit down and actually finish those off. And the one thing that I want to start getting back into is actually doing some operations and filming some of that to add that realistic level to things, and a little bit of car maintenance. Need some new couplers and wheels and things like that on various cars. So that's pretty well where we are for my plans for 2024. So for everyone who has liked, subscribed, commented before, thank you for joining me along this progress, and I look forward to seeing you throughout the new year.